let's convert what we just put together in the previous few sections into functions. This is going to make it easier for our final script. Okay, let's create a new services.py file, and in it we're going to create a Tweepy authentication function and a Tweepy retweet legs function. So we can define the Tweepy auth function that returns an API object. So here we're going to define the function, and we'll just call it Tweepy auth, that takes some input, and really all it does is return an API object. Then what we can do is pretty straightforward. We just drop in our current code in between, making sure to indent it one tab. So if we actually go back to our Tweepy test and we have our authentication services, we're really just copying this over and then making sure everything is tabbed appropriately. And from there, we know what we need to turn into variables. In essence, the API key, the API secret, the access token, and the access secret. So here we know this function is going to take in the following 4 variables. And it's going to authenticate through our OAuth handler and then return a ready-to-use API object just like we had before. Great, so let's save that. And then the next thing we need to do is convert our retweet favorite code into a function. So let's again call this retweet favorites. That takes some inputs. And it's going to return maybe a message that just says done. And again, here, if we go over to our retweet and we actually pull everything we just did there, we can similarly drop it in between. And let's tab it all over together. Great. Now, let's identify the variables we need to pass in. So you'll see it is an API object we create with the Tweepy auth function, and that means we want to pass in some API object as a variable because we're going to be calling it, as well as the username we want to check retweets for. So here, instead of explicitly calling it David Dobrik, we're just going to pass in username. So we've abstracted away everything, and now we have 2 functions. The reason we don't want to pass in our own username is because it is associated with our access tokens. So again, that bot that you created, that bot handle, Twitter's going to know that that's the account you want to retweet from. And then what we're really doing is passing in the appropriate username here, and then checking the favorites of that username. Great. Let's put the finishing touches on our script.